beings. 1 o'clock on the zeros here in the City of Angels. Jason Michael. Taking some time to breathe with you, to be with you, to commune with you, to listen to the one voice, one heart, one mighty I Am presence that dwells right within our very cells, electrons, atoms, to communicate, to inspire, activate, and elevate something inside you that is remembering who and what it is and why we came to this earth to do what we're doing here in the middle of this timeline. I invite you to say hello if you want to stick around and say where you're from. This is episode 10 and chapter 9 from a reading of this book from Backwards to You, Ascension, the Dossier on Ascension by an Ascended Master known as Serapis. Aloha, Fernando Vosa. How you doing, brother? Long time. Namaste, Yvette. Happy 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. It's auspicious numbers, right? But aren't all the numbers somewhat auspicious depending on where you're looking from? This is took a couple weeks off. A lot of birthdays and celebrations and travel, and Heather and I had just an amazing couple weeks of celebrating our solar returns, and it involved some travel up to Cambria and Grass Valley to be with family, and it's been a glorious couple weeks amidst the rockin' and the rollin' and all that's been going on. So much. And so I invite you to stick around for a moment, if you can. And if you're working, if you're driving, you're doing other things, come back. And I also invite you to share this with your community, with your friends, if it feels right. You know, my intention here very clearly is to inspire and activate and elevate that one love consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that godly consciousness, that light and love consciousness, whatever you want to call it. It is a consciousness that is beyond our lower level of human carnal 3D, as we like to call it, thinking. Because our stinking thinking, our thoughts and emotions that continue to inhabit our mind and our heart tend to be the same 60,000 so thoughts, as Wayne Dyer would like to say it, are the same thoughts that keep creating the results. So I always like to begin with what is ascension. You know, that's a big word, right? What is ascension? It seems very new agey and woo-woo, and what is that? But again, you know, it's something that we've read in our Bibles. For those that have gone to a Christian pathway, you've read about the ascension. You understand that Jesus Christ did it. And Jesus said to us that we will do what he did and even greater things. So that includes the ascension. And so what does that mean? What is the ascension? And a very simple definition on askangels.com says, by definition, it's the path of those who are choosing to consciously step into a higher level of light. It's a personal choice to boldly step into the unknown in order to expand into an experience that is entirely new. Ascension is actively choosing to evolve into higher consciousness. Ascension is merging with your higher self, opening your heart. I love that it says opening your heart, coming to heart wisdom. I want to show off the little Harry Potter for those Harry Potter fans. Who knows what this is? Come on, quiz. Quickly, don't look it up. I know a lot of you already know that, you wizards and mages out there. All right, it's opening the heart and expanding to reunite with Source, Christ light, and all levels of layers of your authentic self, your true self. There's something behind your 5 sensory perception of who you think you are. And I know many of you here are already aware of that, but this goes out. I never know who this lands with. This may go to somebody who's going, what in the world is this? I just like that guy with the gray hat and the gray scarf and the gray shirt. Ascension is not something that happens to us on a certain date or that we unknowingly or unwillingly step into. You don't just accidentally ascend. It's rather through expanded awareness and by integrating, keyword, integrating the higher vibrational consciousness, vibrations and frequencies, integrating these higher frequencies of our spiritual selves, we're able to ascend. So there's work, there's processes, there's things that we do on our behalf that step into a path of ascension. And so we are at a very auspicious time in human history, aren't we? And, you know, many of us are getting initiated, we're getting purified. We're wondering what's going on. Why are things breaking down around us? Why are things breaking down in my body? Why am I feeling, you know, we call it ascension symptoms, you know, I'm having these ascension symptoms, and they can be associated with that, you know, because when you're coming in, your body is a carbon-based body, and it's coming into a higher frequency, a higher realm, and we're moving into the fifth dimensional frequencies in going into this Aquarian age. And I love it. I was sitting there thinking of some high loving thoughts, and all of a sudden a license plate, maybe some of you saw it, it was Ascend 5. And it was like, oh yeah, we're moving. I know that I'm on the path of ascension. I have consciously, lovingly, clearly chosen to walk a path. And so I just don't want to sit here and talk and talk and talk. I really love to read. And so this is what this is. So we're going to read chapter 9 from Serapis Bey. He is a Chohan of the 4th ray. For those of you that understand the different rays and the different lords of light on each of the rays. Serapis Bey, in his incarnations at one time, was King Leonidas of the mighty 300, the Spartan army. And he was in Egypt, and there's many different things, and you can look up Serapis Bey. But all the words and all the things, whatever happens, I just invite you to tune in and listen with your heart and not with your mind. You know, our mind, we can argue with what's being said, and we may not match what your mind and mental images of things, but if you really tune in with your heart, you might hear something that will resonate. And so, without further ado, on this July 11th at 1:08, it's a magic number with 8 people, let's go into chapter 9. The reawakening of the divine sense. It begins by saying, of you who come to our abode to be disciplined of life, we require purification of the muddied stream and meritorious deeds, that the soul might know the Holy Spirit through his gift of regeneration. Lonely millions fail utterly to see the link to God reality that connects the finite with the infinite and flashes forth meteor-like into their own souls to illumine the darkest night. The flow of God's consciousness, like an endless river, wends its way through man's numerous experiences, which embody the sense of desolation as well as the thrill of exaltation. And so this journey that you're on today, maybe you're in a journey of exaltation, or maybe you're in a time of desolation. Maybe things, as I said earlier, maybe things are crumbling around you. Maybe your job is starting to end. Maybe your relationships are starting to dwindle. You're starting to examine truly what's important to you. You know, maybe that job that you're going to every day in is just sucking the life out of you. And you know there's something more. There's something more that's itching at your soul to do, to be, to show up in the world, in your family, in your community. And so maybe things are dissolving. Or maybe you're on purpose. Maybe you're in your life stream, in your destiny. You know, this God consciousness, this path is moving each of us in different ways. And the invitation for us is to have compassion and understanding and humility for each other's journeys. But do we see the link? Are you seeing the link? When purification of the muddied stream of human thought occurs and the fount of his energies becomes a crystal one, reflecting light and cosmic energy which buoy up the four corners of the mind and so beautifully reveal to the soul consciousness the wonders of divine reality, the soul is indeed blessed. I want to share something on that light. A dear brother of ours, Peter Melchizedek, some of you watching, of the EGA and the Elemental Grace Alliance family, you're here and I love that you're here. Something recently he said, when you're flying a plane and you're flying in the clouds, it's pretty confusing. You can't see which end. All you can do is what? Look at your navigational tools. Don't go by sight because it's all cloudy. You got to go on the navigational tools. And if you want to stay in those clouds, you got to use those precise navigational tools. And you got to be trained, right? Or you can raise up above the clouds and see clearly now, and see the horizon, and see what's going on. And so in this ascension, there's an opportunity for us to ascend out of the lower level ring of consciousness and come into a crystalline, purified view that's not so cloudy. Our disciplines are always for the purpose of regeneration. And Serapis Bey, once again, he's known as the great disciplinarian. When you walk this path of ascension, when you walk the spiritual journey, don't shy away from discipline. Discipline is so important. Disciplining the mind, disciplining the heart, doing your spiritual practices. Whatever that's going to get you to raise your level of consciousness, Some of us don't need to meditate all the time. We've been meditating for quite a while, and you've already come into a state that you're living in a breathing, living meditation. Your mind is right? But those require disciplines, or as I always love to say, Michael Beckwith, thank you so much, bliscipline. Reading sacred text, coming into prayer, to meditation. It's non-negotiable now, right? It's non-negotiable. It used to be. It was something, oh my gosh, and maybe, I don't know where you're at in your journey, but maybe you just found meditation. And you're like, wow, this feels good. I feel peace. I got my monkey mind that's like stressed out, but when I come into a moment of 11 minutes and I go into stillness and I breathe for a count of 4 and I hold it for a count of 4 and I breathe out for a count of 4 and I hold it for a count of 4 and I do this for maybe 11 minutes, I find my whole system's at peace and at ease, and I like that feeling. That feels good, and I want to do that more often. And then you find yourself on this journey and you're like, oh my gosh, I require to do this because I am in a holy squeezing, and we are, brothers and sisters, my family, we are in the eye of the needle. We are in the eye of the needle. And each one of you volunteered. You said, I will be here for the greatest moment in human history, in the Earth's history, in the galactic, all that is history. I know that's a big statement, but it's true. We're in a moment in time. We're about to step out of time. There's timelines. There's many different things going on. But we are here now, all of us, to rise up, to rise as one. But we cannot shy away from discipline. Our disciplines are always for the purpose of regeneration, for without this gift and activity which descends from the Holy Spirit, man could not attain to immortal life. Life is God, and He Himself is the tree of life that stands in the midst of the garden. Every manner of manifestation receives its life from Him. Yet His masterful concepts, as they appeared in the pristine universe, observed by man according to the immaculate concept, would quite naturally evoke from the heart the splendid cry, "It is good." So simple and childlike are the attributes of the kingdom that men overlook them, and thus they pass them by. It's very simple. So simple and childlike are the attributes of the kingdom of God that we often overlook them. We go to these colleges and we go into these complex structures and processes, and it's very simple. Love rules. Follow love. Follow your childlike heart. Unless you become like a little child, you won't see the kingdom. You won't enter the kingdom. You won't see it. If you're thinking like an adult, what does that mean? I mean, we can be mature in our mindset, but if we're thinking, with our linear, logical mind, we're gonna miss it. We're just gonna miss the door. We're not gonna see it. The blessings of God are all around life everywhere. Life is replete, even as it is complete, with the most wonderful shadings of bliss, which could be enjoyed by the Godhead himself. Yet in men, the power of perception, the sensitivity to perceive life itself, seems to be lacking. Having eye to see, they see not. Having ears to hear, they hear not. Neither do they sense nor touch the reality of God. The kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. It's right here. We just have to wake up and stay awake and do things that help us stay awake. Be around people who help us stay awake. Be listening and watching things that help you stay awake. Because we tend to be sleepy ones, right? One of the greatest blessings that can ever come to an embodied individual is the reawakening of the divine sense and childlike wonder. Oh my gosh! The greatest blessing that we can have is if we become like a child. Fairy tales can come true. It can happen to you if you're what? Yes, young at heart. Don't grow up too fast. One of the greatest blessings is that we can reawaken the divine sense and the childlike wonder which so many had in manifestation very early in their lives. I would like to say in this connection that there are souls presently in embodiment upon earth in whom the karmic pattern of their life streams have been so utterly desolate and rebellious that even as babes they manifest a defiant and virulent hatred. While mankind may deplore the manifestation of these rebellious ones, it must be remembered as a mitigating point to all life upon earth that many of these individuals have been separated from the planet and from the life evolutions of the planet for countless generations, awaiting a dispensation of opportunity for re-embodiment. It just invokes compassion when I read that. There are recalcitrant souls here sharing these life streams with us, right? I want to say hello, Donna Amadei. The fairies of Avalon are here. Thank you. I love that. You might see these souls, you might see these children. And as many of you may have heard, and I'll just remind us the great story of the African tribes, that when there were recalcitrant souls or souls who did some things that were out of alignment with the tribe's health and thriving structures, if they stole, if they did something, they would just sing their song. They would just remind them, because everybody has their song. Everybody has their own unique soul stream. And so for us, it's to remind each other of who we are, to help us remember that there are those that have been separated from the planet for countless generations. While it is true that there have been a certain definite action of punishment involved in their long separation, it's also true that they have been unable to work out any substantial measure of their karma while awaiting a re-embodiment. These souls then, with all their seething rebellion, resentment, and self-appointed misery, need a certain amount of understanding on the part of the devotees of truth that will afford them a measure of opportunity and understanding of the goodness of the universe. It has been said that whatever a man measures out will be meted unto him again. But it has also been said, his mercy endureth forever. Therefore, while there will be plenty of opportunity and mundane life for these individuals to come face to face with the flood tides of rebellion which they have created and which they have made their dwelling place, It is up to all of us to understand and to grant them, even as part of their own discipline, some measure of Christly mercy and grace. Mercy and grace, mercy and grace. I invoke mercy and grace upon you, upon myself, upon all of us as we're journeying this initiatic journey. May we not get too puffed up in our understanding of who we think we are and what this is. May we have mercy and grace upon ourselves, because we all have a little rebel inside, right? I know I do. Mercy and grace. The savage energies which play upon these individuals must be warily watched, and those who work with them at any time should ever be alert to protect themselves by the power of light against the riptides of human aggression and shadowed energy which these individuals wield. And so I need to touch on this because I can feel it. We are in a timeline where we're witnessing the splitting of worlds in a sense. There is a pathway of souls who are in a service to self. Power, greed, consumption, get mine. I need to get mine. Because ultimately, why? Why would a soul do that? Why would a soul feel this need to just acquire so much? Because they have forgotten who they are and what they are. So we say, Father, Mother, God, forgive them, for they really don't know, capital N, what they're doing. And so, though we want to be love in action, we do want to bring justice where justice is required, be fierce when when that mother love comes in, and to say no, but not from a place of damnation, condemnation, judgment. Discernment, yes, but not this place of we hold these rebellious ones inside of ourselves because there's really only one of us. We invoke mercy and grace, and we sing the song of awakening. I've included this subject in my dossier on the Ascension because one of the problems of spiritual discipline involved in winning the Ascension is the tendency for individuals, after they have manifested a great deal of self-control through their contact with the Ascended Master's disciplines, to become overly aloof and insensitive to mortal conditions, which they must surely face until the last trump has sounded. In our work, we can become into this pink fluffy clouds and we forget what's really going on in the world. And it's time for all of us, family, to step up, to be seen, to be heard, and to not let the fear matrix be the loudest voice that we hear on our media. Because that's what most of us are listening to. We're listening, we're watching what Trump is doing. We're watching what the European rulers are doing. We're watching, what's the current earthquake news? What's happening? It's been 10,000 aftershocks, most aftershocks. The world's moving. It's always moving. Mother Gaia is a moving, breathing, sentient being. She's always moving, right? So, what voice are you listening to? And what voice are you speaking from? But once again, it says, after they have manifested a great deal of self-control through their contact with the Ascended Masters, they become overly aloof and insensitive to mortal conditions, which they must surely face until the last trump is sounded. The trump is sounded, everybody, right? The trump has sounded. What are you doing? Are you procrastinating? Are you putting off? Are you jockeying for your position? Are you coming into group heart? You're coming into the group mind, where there is only one of us here. We've seen numerous cases where individuals have performed all the necessary rituals and spiritual disciplines which the law requires in order to merit the ascension of the light. Then through some unguarded treatment of an individual, they've created a karmic pattern, which has hindered the progress of their ascension for the balancing of that entire embodiment, necessitating their return to the screen of life contrary to their own desires. That's a big statement. You know, maybe you've done everything. You've walked the path. You've dotted your I's and you crossed your T's, and you're walking a holy path. But you wronged another individual. You know, are you making right what you wronged? Are you making amends? You know, I remember reading in the Bible many times ago that before you go into your prayer closet and you've wronged your brother, go make amends. Come correct. Come in transparency. Come in humility. Come in compassion. Come in grace and mercy. Come in transparency, integrity, and come to each other. You know, for those brothers out there in the Los Angeles area, I have a circle of sacred men that we're meeting, and we're going into the shadow. We're coming in to these dark pockets within our consciousness and our heart and our activities and our actions, and coming into the light, owning our dark, not negating it, not acting like it's not there, but, you know, what are our darker places that we're not being honest with? If you wish to join that, message me. Every other Friday we meet in Los Angeles. Serapis says, I wish therefore to point out that even an act of justified aloofness toward an individual can sometimes be a hindrance. Quite naturally, you must be exceedingly careful not to permit your energies to become involved with any part of life in a wasteful or purposeless manner. But by a like token, if an individual seeks the milk of human kindness, which when properly administered is divine kindness, it would be well not to withhold it from him. For after all, it should always be borne in mind that we pattern after God, and his goodness endureth forever. Fear not what men may do unto you. Fear not what men, what the government, what any organization may do unto you. But be the master of your own worlds by letting the God within hold high the standard of his love. When you give your loyalty to God, it does not mean that you despise anyone in his kingdom who may be manifesting a lesser understanding. The fact that individuals upon earth are occasionally disturbed by someone's adoration of a minor angel or a cosmic being, minor that is in the consciousness of the observer, often provokes what you would call a titter in heaven. These objectors would not mind if Archangel Michael or Jesus were honored, but conceivably they find some fault because an individual might pray to Mother Mary or one of the lesser saints, or even to an angel unknown by the masses. I think heaven finds it a bit amusing that the laws of science are so highly honored by mankind, and yet so poorly applied to spiritual things. Is not the whole the sum of all of its parts? And who can put his arms around all that is and embrace it? Is a grain of diamond dust any less a diamond than a 10-carat stone resting in the turban of a Mughal emperor? I cannot refrain, however, from commenting on the fact that by ignorance as well as deliberate misdirection, that mankind of earth today, in the main, are far from the beaten path of the spiritual devotee that leads to the narrow gate. The road is narrow home. If you're trying to do what everybody else is doing, or you don't want to upset the apple cart, or you don't want to seem weird or too woo-woo, whatever it is, and maybe this is just me talking to me. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The road is narrow, and it's getting narrower and narrower and narrower the longer I walk this journey. Religion intended to be an implementation leading to the soul's attainment. So let me read that again. Religion, intended to be an implementation leading to the soul's attainment, has become the means by which the enemy has blackened the consciousness of men and cast them into outer darkness. In God's name, beloved ones, it requires more than just the wish to serve him in order to do so. It requires more than the wish to attain in order to attain. If you would be an instrument of God upon earth, you must stand tall and be willing to be counted as an adjuvant of God's cause upon earth. There are far too few who understand the mysteries of living truth that make men free from the delusions of the world. I implore you on behalf of the hierarchy and in the interest of winning your own ascension in the light to look up to the realm of beauty and love, of harmony, security, and eternality, of joy, strength, and divine wonder, and live. There are many, many steps ahead. But I want to read this one right again. In God's name, beloved ones, hear me. It requires more than just a wish, an intention, a silent prayer. God, I just want to be your instrument. You know, maybe you've, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, and with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you. One of my favorite songs singing in the Christian churches. Prepare me to be a sanctuary. Use me, oh God. They sing it agape. Use me, oh God. I stand for you. And here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. It takes more than that. It takes for us to really walk this walk. Integrate what we know into our heart and into our body system so that we are a pure radiating center of the mighty I Am presence. We are the vessel, the crystal cup of Christ's light. That takes discipline. That takes a journey. That takes a purification. That takes the fire. You got to stand in the fire. You got to invoke the fire to stand in that and not just wish it and willy-nilly through this and kumbaya and sing some songs and drum some drums and light some incense and think you're doing it. We got to stand tall because right now in our timeline, we need to hold the ground, as I keep seeing. Hold the line. Hold the line. Get into your disciplines. Guard your mind. Guard your heart. Serve in love your brothers and sisters. Serve those around you. Don't be looking, I need you to do something for me. I need something. That is what creates disease. It what creates discord. It what creates a whole bunch of this. When this, give me. I need your light. I need your inspiration. And that's okay. I'm here. I'm feeding. I got enough. I promised my I Am presence that I would show up every Holy Thursday, Ascension Thursday at 1 o'clock, and just read this. But there's a lot going on that requires my attention and focus. And so I'm not doing this to get anything. I'm not getting this to do this to get 10,000 views. I'm getting this to speak to you, one person, whoever you be, to remember who you are. That you are a child of God. You are a holy child, sovereign, free. It's time to light up and stand tall. Serapis says, stand tall and be willing to be counted as an adjuvant of God's cause upon earth. There is a divine plan that is being fulfilled on earth as it is in heaven. And we're all doing our part. No one is greater than the other. No one person is the avatar here. We all matter. Every piece. You might be a corner piece, or you might be that little piece that's like all blue with a bunch of other 50 blues. Or you might be the flower, you might be the little tiny tree, or you might be that stained glass window, or you might be the sword of Michael. I don't know. We don't know. You know for who you are. You know how you're made up. You know how you serve. And if you don't, get quiet. Pay attention to what brings you joy, what lights you up, what's ease and grace for you. 7-11, it's all about balance. You know, we are in the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. We're right between some potent windows of energy. Stepping into the Lion's Gate coming. There is a holy squeezing. And I've been paying attention. There is a place where people are afraid, at least here in Southern California. But I remember I was reminded a scripture in Isaiah 54:10, and I may misquote it, but in a sense it's, though the mountains may crumble, though the earth fall to the sea, nothing will separate you from my love. You know, Mother Earth, she's moving. You know, in New Orleans, there's a tornado, a hurricane coming. There's the earth moving. There's things. We as humanity have an opportunity. We have a calling. It's the best time. Don't miss it. Your ascension, her ascension, is inevitable. It's inevitable. Just willingly do it. Don't go being crawled and dragged behind. You know, let's run the race. And if you're walking, if you're crawling, just stay in the race. Don't quit the race. Just stay in. If you need help, reach out. I'm here. Heather's here. Many of us are here to support. Don't do it alone. But do take charge. Do take captive. Get about your spiritual blissipins. It gets better as it gets better. That's what I know. It gets better as it gets better, as we train our mind and we do the spiritual practices that we need to do to elevate our consciousness. It is done unto us as human beings as we choose to believe it. And we don't need to worry about all of them. We don't have to worry about the mass consciousness. We've been told over and over again. You know, I mean, if you're sitting there watching what everybody's doing and it's bringing up an emotional feeling of depression, of oppression, of regression, it's making you go smaller and smaller because you're looking what the government's doing, what Pizzagate is doing, what these people are doing, and it's making you angry, or it's making you frustrated, or it's making you hopeless, then stop, for the love of God, watching that. Turn your gaze heavenly, upward, turn it inward, turn it to the light, turn it to the presence of God that you are. And know that though the earth may crumble, though it all falls apart, I stand on the rock, I stand on truth, I stand in the center of my being. Know that right where I am, God is. Unseparated forever I remain, increasing my light day by day, moment by moment, breath by breath, by the smile of his radiance, the omniscience of his love, by the power of his life eternal, that automatically raises us on ascension's wings of victory, that shall return us to the heart of God, from whence in truth we have come to manifest abundant life to all. That's who you are. That's who I am. What story are you telling yourself now? What I know for you, right here, right now, is that you are love, you are powerful, you are wise, you are creative, you are abundant, you are healthy, you are peace itself. And so breathe that in, receive that in, and look for an opportunity to pay it forward today, tomorrow. Give to somebody, help somebody out. We've got the whole world in our hands. We got the whole world. Don't want to spin it too hard, all right? Let's love this earth, this beautiful blue jewel circling around a star that's circling around another star that's circling around another star in a very divine way. It's pretty amazing. Thank you for being here. Michael Long, I see you, brother. Thank you for being here. Lewis, thank you. Sandy, thank you. If this has served you in any capacity, share it. If you have felt spiritually fed, I invite you to go to thepowersoflove.com. Go to the bottom and offer a donation, a love offering. Give to where you are given to. And any news, if there's any news, if there's any questions before I end this, let me know. If there's any prayer requests, let me know. On 7/22, Heather and I are going to be launching Awakening the Powers of Love. And for those of you local, on 8/1, August 1st, out here in the TO, Thousand Oaks area in Ventura County, we're going to be having some couples and gathering of people to get a little sample of what we're doing. We're going to take a series of couples or individuals and take them on the journey of really awakening the powers of love in a really one-on-one group heart-mind, which will culminate with a retreat in sometime, I think we're looking at September, probably Shasta. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, it's a big full moon coming up on the 16th. And I think that's it for now. So thank you for being here. Thank you for being here now. And I love you so much. Appreciate your presence here now. Talk to you soon. Namaste.